Win. That's all I want to do is just win.
This is the UMass Lowell Hockey Playoff Preview, Part 2, Going to the Garden. The UMass Lowell Hockey Riverhawks and Northeastern University will square off in Game 1 of the Hockey East semifinals. That will be Friday night at the TD Bank North Garden. It is a 5 o'clock start. The Riverhawks got to the Garden in a 2-game sweep of the University of Vermont. Northeastern got there defeating UMass Amherst 2-1. My name is Bob Ellis, and we are joined by the Hockey Information Director at UMass Lowell, Jonathan Albert. John, welcome.
Hey, good to be here, Bob.
Terrific weekend, and you and I were there as the Riverhawks knocked off Vermont 2-0. A 4-3 overtime win the first night, a 4-2 victory the second night. What about that series jumps out at you?
This team proved that they knew what it was going to take to win a playoff series, the intensity, the effort, the desire to win games, and you point to Friday night's game, down 2-0, down 3-1. 2 times they're down by 2 goals, and they were able to come back and win, scoring a late goal in the third period with an extra attacker to send it to overtime, 30 seconds to go in regulation, and then Maury Edwards getting the game-winning goal with 2 seconds to go. So realizing that, hey, you know what, the game's not over, period's not over until the clock, until the horn sounds, and then Friday night coming back and just playing another really good, intense, hard-fought playoff game against a very good hockey team.
They talk about taking it shift by shift, period by period, game by game. We hear people at all levels of hockey talking about it that way. I think rarely does one see that. But I think in Vermont, I don't think the Riverhawks took one shift off.
But once they got within a goal, I mean, all of a sudden, it's like this team had energy, they had life, they believed they were going to come back and win the hockey game, and they ended up doing it.
All right, the question, why is UMass Lowell here being the Boston Garden, here being the Hockey East semifinals? My answer is a simple series of words. Work ethic, team, Talent, yes, without question, but I think it's the work ethic.
Yeah.
I think it's the team that everybody contributes.
Well, I mean, you get to this point in the season, every team has talent, so it really is it comes down to those little things, the work ethic, the how badly do you want it?
And the other word is systems.
Yep.
But most importantly, this entire team has bought into the system, plays the system relentlessly.
Mm-hmm.
Team, hard work, talent, and system. That's, to me, why they're there. Why is Northeastern here?
You look to goaltending. Brad Thiessen has been phenomenal all year. Probably going to be the player of the year in Hockey East. But I also think some of the things that you talked about with the Riverhawks where, just hard work, intensity, that's a team that works hard for 60 minutes every single night. And I think that to an extent, I think you throw in systems for them too. I think, both teams play a very similar system.
UMass Lowell versus Northeastern season series, 3-game sweep for Northeastern.
Mm-hmm.
What did we learn from that season series?
I think it's a lot closer than the 3-0 series advantage you would for Northeastern. The game back at Tsongas Arena in November was a 4-3 Northeastern win. Thought the Riverhawks played well in that game, made a couple of key mistakes in certain areas of the ice that led to goals. The one game I think that was decidedly Northeastern was the game at Matthews Arena a couple of weeks back on February 27th, a 3-0 win for them. I don't feel like the Riverhawks ever really got their game going, but the next night it turns out to be a 3-1 loss with the empty netter at the Tsongas Arena, but I thought the Riverhawks played very well in that game and could have easily won that hockey
I thought
game.
They were the better team on the ice, but the goaltender at the Northeastern
Absolutely
end stood on his head.
Yeah, he made some tremendous saves early in the game, middle of the game, late in the game, throughout the game.
All right, let's analyze the team. Strengths, weaknesses, so on and so forth. Northeastern University, the Huskies, what are their strengths?
Goaltending, number one. Obviously, they're, Brad Thiessen, tremendous year. Probably, like we said, probably going to be the player of the year in Hockey East. Is a Hobie Baker nominee. I think their forwards up front, good, hardworking players. Janan's had a very good year for them up front. Very much like the Riverhawks in terms of maybe not an explosive offensive team, but they're good depth in all 4 forward lines to be able to put in goals.
What are the weaknesses?
You try to attack their defense with speed, much in the way that we talked last week about how you attack Vermont. You try to hit them with speed, coming up with your forwards. I think back to Paul Worthington's overtime goal last year in the overtime game at Tsongas Arena and how he really used his speed to get up down the right wing and was able to get past the Northeastern defenseman. So I think that's probably first and foremost what you try to hit them on.
At all levels of hockey, when it gets to playoff times, there's an awful lot of talk about special teams. Anything significant that we should know about the Northeastern special teams, either terrifically good or terrifically not?
Penalty killing's been very good this year, 86.5%. Very good PK. The power play's been good. 33 goals they've scored on the power play, 15%. So not bad on either end. The power play's been good. Penalty killing been very good.
UMass Lowell, strengths, weaknesses, so on and so forth. What is this hockey team's greatest on ice strength?
First and foremost, you point to their defense. The way they transition the puck, just their solid play in their own end. And I think the awareness that a lot of them have to be able to know when to jump into the play, when to hold back. Everything for this team starts with the defense, which is not a bad thing because the defense is very good. I also think this team is a very structured hockey team. They, you talked about it earlier. They play their system very well. They believe in the system. They're very structured in their game in playing that system. So I really believe that there are a couple guys on this hockey team offensively that are ready to take a jump. I mean, we went into last weekend looking at a guy like Scott Campbell, thinking he can take a jump. Had a tremendous weekend. Maybe not so much is involved offensively Friday night, but certainly solid all into the ice. And then Saturday it comes back with 3 points and is the hockey player of the week.
Wasn't all that involved offensively Friday night, except that he set up the game winner. The other thing I'd say, I think one of the strengths of the Riverhawks, and this is not to say any team's a dumb team out there, but they're a very intelligent team.
Absolutely.
In their decision making and their understanding of what is taking place on the ice.
They know how to pay attention to details.
What about the weakness?
Not an explosive offensive team. You look at guys like Corey Felitti. If he can contribute offensively and score goals, I mean, that's what he does.
Does Northeastern have, thus, with Ryan Janan, a go-to guy, and the Riverhawks still don't have a go-to guy?
I think it's more of an unknown on the Riverhawks end. I mean, you and I have talked about it a lot. I think there's potential there for guys to be go-to guys and really step up.
And certainly, all season long, each week, somebody different or a different line has stepped up. Look at the CPR line. Campbell, Pataco, and Robathan up in Vermont. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think they had 6 points on Saturday night in the win. And, when that team scores, it's good for the Riverhawks. I think they're 17-2-2 this year when one player on that line gets a point. So certainly that has to be a line that every team that plays the Riverhawks looks at and says, you got to stop these guys. It's very hard to do because they're all big, they're all strong, they work well along the boards, possessing the puck, cycling, and all that stuff. And, they're good at getting to the front of the net, and they're not going to score pretty goals, but they're going to put the puck in the back of the net. So
special teams, what do we need to know about the Riverhawks?
Very good special teams for this hockey team. You really can't say that enough. They've killed 56 of the last 59 penalties against them. Their penalty killing has been outstanding. They led Hockey East in league games this year at 89.1%. And then the power play has gotten really hot lately. 9 power play goals in the last 4 games. So, this team is getting it done both ends of special teams. I know, we talked to Blaze McDonald. He talks about how, the referee's arm goes up going to power play. Okay, great. Yep. Very confident on the power play. If it goes up and it's a penalty on the Riverhawks, no problem. Very confident in killing penalties as well. So certainly special teams for this team is an area of strength and confidence.
These games will be played in the Boston Garden. Northeastern plays there a couple of times every season as part of the Beanpot. They get to go this year for the first time in I think more than a dozen years.
Yeah, I think 88 was the last year.
As part of the Hockey East tournament. The Riverhawks, it's been 7 years away. So the point is, nobody in the UMass Lowell team has played in this building in a big game. Does the setting make a difference?
I don't know that it does necessarily with this UMass Lowell team. I think they're so focused on the task at hand that, maybe when they take the ice for practice on Thursday, it may be like, wow, we're here. But, you get that practice out of the way. You'll get a practice in the morning. And then by the time the game starts, I think this team is focused enough that I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. And the other thing to consider is Northeastern, they have a lot of experience playing in the Garden in the Beanpot, like you said. They played 2 primetime games in the Beanpot this past February. So they're used to big crowds at the start of the game and the atmosphere and the intensity of playing in those games. 5 o'clock game, the crowd will fill in as the game goes on Friday, but it won't be the same type of buzz in the building maybe at the start of it. So maybe that'll neutralize a little bit of what they,
I've
go
heard
into
people
it.
say it. I think the fact that the building will be relatively empty at the start is more of a benefit to the Riverhawks in relaxing than it is a disadvantage for Northeastern that they won't be.
Yeah, it's really hard to necessarily say that on our end about that because you just don't know what their mindset is going into it. But I do agree with you. I think from the Riverhawks standpoint, they'll be nice and relaxed and calm at the start of the game.
The winner of this playoff game will play either Boston University or BC. They play the nightcap. Any quick analysis on that? My quick analysis is Boston University is the best team in the country, in my opinion.
Yeah.
BC is playing some terrific hockey at the moment, but BU is the best team in the country. I assume they will prevail.
I agree. I think there's really no way I could argue with you on BU being the best team. They're by far the best team that I've seen. They can beat you at any way, any type of game you want to play. They are great goaltending. Their defense is good and active. They have tremendous scoring depth up front. They've proven they can play tight games. They can blow teams out. But BC has been playing probably their best hockey of the year down the stretch. John Muse seems to have gotten back into a rhythm in goal for them. So should be a good, fun matchup to watch. But I agree. I think BU ends up prevailing in the game.
That is our UMass Lowell hockey playoff preview. Again, the Riverhawks and Northeastern, the Boston Garden, TD Bank North Garden. 5 o'clock start on Friday.